Hello people of YouTube, I'm back again with another product spotlight. This week we're looking at something from Rapido, so let's go over to the workbench and take a look. Alright, so what we have this week is the Rapido B36-7. This is a highly anticipated HO scale model from Rapido that comes in, I think I counted 10 different paint schemes or variants on paint schemes. And you have to be careful because the box that I got, which is a very nice heavy cardboard box, sort of makes it seem like the Santa Fe model is packed inside. But if you look on the side, and of course after you open it, you'll see that the Southern Pacific one, number 7756, which is on the table here, is in fact what's inside. These come in two different types. A DCC ready one that comes with a 21 pin plug and retails for $229.95 in the US. And then the DCC and Sound one that comes with an ESU decoder in it for $339.95 in the US. I specify for in the US because the Canadian prices are different, and you can check Rapido's website to get more information really for everything about this model. The website is very, very thorough, giving you all kinds of historic information and prototype specific information, the research that they did for this run of models. And it's pretty impressive because every different paint scheme or every different road that they were made for has very highly specific prototype details on the model. So as usual, Rapido's done an amazing job researching and developing this product. In the box you have the exploded view drawings, you have the manual, which I'll show you a little bit closer in a second, and then a parts bag that has, well, I recognized a couple parts on here instantly, which are the wind deflectors and MU cable. We'll take a closer look at that stuff on the model itself in a minute. The manual is very complete. It has information about prototype history, break-in period, how to handle it, double checking how the locomotive operates, talking about how to replace missing or damaged parts, additional features, how to remove the shell, how to install a DCC decoder without sound. There's just everything you could possibly want is in here. And another thing I've noticed that's also in here is a full list of all the functions of the DCC decoder. So it's a very complete manual and one that will make enjoying the model a lot easier. So we'll take a closer look at the model now. One thing I'll mention right off the top, which is something I do usually, which is I scrutinized the paint on this model with my magnifying visor and found it to be completely flawless. A few things worth pointing out on the side are the arrangements of all the grills here. This is all prototype specific. You can see there's a little bit of a jog in the body here. Something else that also is worth pointing out is look how straight and nice the handrails are. These are metal handrails. I don't think I've ever seen metal handrails on a factory model like this. I mean, except for brass ones. Then you'll notice all the additional stuff in here, all the detail under the sill, right? As well as details on the fuel tank. Seems like it's a little bit more detailed than a lot of what you see out there. And something else that really grabbed my attention is check out all the detail in the trucks, including this brake chain. That's something else that's becoming a little bit more common on models these days. It's just executed really well on this model. And another thing I'm noticing as I look at the cab in person here is that they have all the pieces you'd want there. You have your sunshade, wind deflectors in both directions, and an armrest. So that's pretty cool. The cab windows don't open, or else I'd try to take a picture of the interior, which is also detailed. So instead of getting a picture for you, I went to the Rapido website, and this is what it looks like inside. It's a fully detailed interior, even though you can't really see it. I think that's a nice touch. Looking at the front detail, you can see some of the stuff I just mentioned a little better here. This detail around the cab. There's a separately applied brake wheel, of course. Also, you can see how the handrails are painted prototypically, where the white starts here and it starts here, but then across the front there it's not. This is a molded chain, but it looks real. You have your SP light package. Something else really cool is they're separately applied metal windshield wipers. They're very to scale, which makes them very credible. And then, of course, your sand filler hatch in the nose and the grabs on the nose. Just everything you could possibly want is on this model. And I find myself saying that a lot these days. But look at the MU hose. Also really well done. Looking at the front straight on like this, you can see the air hose and all the hose detail. Something else that I'm finding pretty cool is that the MU hose here that's not connected to anything, there's actually covers on the receptacles for that. That's something I don't remember seeing before. So the detail's just out of this world. I don't imagine anything you could add to this model that's not already there. I mean, unless you're being really a stickler for these things. Now we're looking at the fireman side, or conductor side, if you will. And you can see the same kind of detail around the cab window there. There's a lot of detail going on around the fuel tank area. Toward the back here you can see a correct position for the bell. And all the detail I was trying to talk about earlier in the trucks, right? Here's your speed recorder with the cable. Filler hatches and gauge and stuff in the fuel tank is all accurate. It's all there. And then looking underneath, you can kind of see that there are more things like the air tanks. There's one in front of the fuel tank, and there's one behind the fuel tank there. And I'll show you the underside here in just a minute after we're done looking at the model in general. Something else kind of cool is there's this box here that I'm pretty sure was a prototype specific detail to Southern Pacific models. And then since you can see it all pointed out here, this is a brass horn casting. It's not plastic. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. And like I said earlier, everything's legible too. All these little labels are legible if you magnify them a lot. The detail on the rear of the locomotive is very similar to that on the front of the locomotive. You can see that the number boards are plated over on the back. This is the SP light package. Separately applied grabs. The chain is molded but looks like a real chain. You have your drop step here. I mean, I'm pointing stuff out that you can see, and I know that the video is clear enough for you to see all this stuff, but I feel like if I don't point it out, you might gloss over it. That's why I do it this way. And all the hoses, it's all there, and it all looks really fabulous. And finally, the last 3/4 view that we're going to take a look at this model from. And I really need to show you these stairwells because they look awesome. So here's a still shot of the stairwells. You can tell they're see-through. And you know that I don't usually do this for locomotives, but I wanted to show you the undersill detail on this model because there's all kinds of piping and stuff that you don't normally see on locomotives. Also, while we're looking at it, take a look at the detail on the triple valve and the tank. That's just not something that you see too often on HO scale locomotives. So now looking at the top of the model, I noticed there's a little grab here. That's pretty cool. I don't remember seeing that before on a model. This looks like an etched grill. The exhaust is actually see-through into the model. I mentioned before that's a brass horn. And then the antenna and air conditioner detail also is very nicely done. Now here's something cool. As I'm examining this model, I looked at the air conditioner, I was taking some still photos of it, and I realized that there is molded fan detail molded right into the air conditioning unit. How cool is that? So it's always my favorite thing to run the locomotive, so let's get to it. The model has a 5-pole motor with dual flywheels, and it's really smooth at low speeds. Alright, so we'll take a closer look at the lights here. You have your headlight on F0, as you would expect. And the number boards are activated with F19. They come on by default when you turn the track power on. And then F13 turns on your oscillating light. That's over the cab there. And the last light I'll show you is F17, the emergency light. The rear headlights are set up basically the same way, and they're directional. So the way you make the rear headlights turn on is simply by reversing the direction of the locomotive. And then, as I was showing before, F13 is for the oscillating light, and F0, as usual, is for the rear headlight. The rear emergency light does not work on this. As usual, there's some wacky stuff going on here. In some of the higher function keys, they have sounds added and music and stuff. Here's an idea of what those are. That's on F21. You ever wanted more cowbell? Hit F22.
Tastes great.
Vintage beer commercials, F23. F24 should sound familiar if you're an older person like I am.
Hello? Where's the beef?
So I have to say I'm very impressed with this model from Rapido. I think it has all the details that you could possibly want on it straight out of the box. All I could see wanting to do to it probably is just weathering it real well so that it looks like a Southern Pacific unit, because SP had a reputation for having very dirty locomotives. The sounds are really good. The volume of the sounds, great. Just everything. This is what I expect from Rapido. They make really great models, and they carry slightly higher price tags, but in the end, considering all the work that they've done to get the details right and to get all the details on there, it's probably worth it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.